Lead me astray, oh take me away to places so strange and lovely, beyond the clouds and into the blue so lovely. Embrace this weary soul, roam free and with the breeze.
We set off on a, well, it was really wet actually. It was really, really wet. Quite amazingly, the rain settled and we were quite lucky with our weather really. We had days where it was a little bit wet or damp, but we ended up having quite a bit of sun.
This particular holiday was supposed to be driving across the Nullarbor Plain, of course. We'd planned that, worked out a schedule, and with COVID and the rules, the lockdowns and everything, and border closures, we had to cancel that. So this trip we sort of made up as we went along. We headed east.
And we decided to try our luck in Victoria.
The Nullarbor might have been dry, might have been a bit warmer, don't know, but nothing to regret here at all.
Having grown up in the country, I've always loved waterfalls, and we found these Raymond Creek Falls, and with the amount of rainfall that's been happening, they were just thundering. It was just mind-blowing. As we drove and we got to the mouth of the Snowy River at Marlow, which was absolutely beautiful. As much as I've done on the Snowy River, because I spent time there when I was working with Outward Bound instructing around Buchan area and saw a lot of the snow, but I'd never been to the mouth, and what a beautiful place it was. Incredibly serene.
Marlow, when my son James was 16 or 17, so a long time ago, we had a weekend fishing there, and I've never forgotten it. That particular trip with James was one of the special ones. We went out on a little boat from the jetty, right here. We got onto a spot where the bream were, and I think we caught 10 or 15 bream. And James, who I don't know if he even liked fish all that much, he ate bream that night. It was the best thing he'd ever eaten because he and Dad were eating fish we'd caught.
Near Malakuta is the most beautiful lake system. There's the lower and the upper lake.
It's just a beautiful place, just to sit by the inlet and watch the bird life go by.
Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is down the stream. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, merrily, merrily.
Row!
What about that? You did the other one.
Which one?
The one you said.
15 men on the dead man's chest.
Yo ho ho and a bottle of rum.
Drink and the devil had done for the rest.
Yo ho ho and a bottle of rum.
Yo ho ho! Ho 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 ho!
Ho ho ho.
a bit more harmonious perhaps with the Mallacoota Lakes, the upper lake. Absolutely beautiful.
Just the most spectacular, serene place that we went to. We had mirror water, we had a beautiful sky and an amazing sunset. The Marlow Coastal Reserve includes Cape Conran. Once again, a place I'd never been. Beautiful, beautiful beach there. Just watching the waves break over the rocks and the beach was really quite pleasant. We are so lucky in Australia to have the coastline that we have. One of the things that we were both really quite aware of was the fires, and how could we not be aware of what happened in East Gippsland last year, or the end of 2019.
You see evidence of the fires right to the coast. Of course, Mallacoota was the town that was world famous for its terrible fires and the rescue operation. And right down to the beach, right down to the very rocks, wherever there's trees and shrubs, they're burnt. As you drive along, it's just kilometre after kilometre of burnt trees. You start to realise the scale of those fires.
We know that the Australian bush thrives on fire in terms of that's where regrowth occurs.
All of the hills are just covered with trees, very beautifully starting to regrow.
But to get to that point, you consider the damage that's been done to the wilderness, to the flora and fauna of the region. It's quite disturbing, really.
Later in our trip, we travelled north and visited Carl's parents in Wagga Wagga. They had their own bushfire stories to tell.
We have just been down to Mallacoota and saw the evidence of last year's fires, which was horrific.
Yeah, it would have been bad.
But you have your own stories about fires that we've been through in past when we were living in Beechworth.
Oh yeah, we had two bushfires come through the property. Yeah.
It was Christmas, wasn't it?
Yeah, what happened there was it came from down Woolshed, and it came across the paddock straight at the house, and we lost the vineyard and all the fruit trees with heat, not with flame so much. Because of the time of the year, we had all the beehives lined up in the paddock as well, and we lost all them.
I particularly remember the other one that came through and when the wind changed, and that was the first time I ever realised how fast fire went. It was up in seconds. And I was fully clothed in proper shoes and pants and long shirt and all of that, but the heat coming off the ground was incredible.
Yeah.
Do you remember when the wind changed direction?
Yeah.
Nadine was quite young at the time.
Makes it all more scary.
Yeah.
Because you're responsible for them all. And I mean, Barry wasn't there. We were ready to jump in the car and leave.
Dad, I know that you've been on trucks in the fires before. Must have been scary, surely.
You don't feel fear, you go, well, everyone's different. Okay, one time I got the fire call and they said, hurry. So we found the fire and it was roaring towards us, so it's very dangerous. Anyway, we stopped the truck and I grabbed the hose and I ran towards the fire, and the heat gets you first. So I hid behind a tree and I'm yelling out to David, water, water, because I was standing there with the bloody hose and there was no water to attack it. I was a bit scared.
Overwhelmingly beautiful area, beautiful sea, beautiful forests and hills. Almost feel guilty looking at and enjoying it, because the pain and the sorrow that must have happened there would have been just terrible, I think.
One of the areas that I actually wanted to take David was the Amio Highway, so running between Bruthen to Mitter. I spent a lot of time in the high country, driving around that whole region numerous times. So I've got a lovely affinity for that area.
The road is just beautiful. Along the sides, the sparkling rivers, the Tambo River, and then later on the snowy East Branch Creek.
I remember going with a mate driving across to Buchan the first time when we were in our early 20s, and it was a dirt road back then. It's now sealed all the way. Seeing some of the sights as we went over, and it's such a beautiful part of the country. Unfortunately, it was shrouded in mist, but it makes that countryside quite mystical in itself. On the Amio Highway was a school camp called Mittagundee, which I went to a few times as a teacher and helping out at the time. We passed that as we drove through, and it brings back those memories as well, because we spent time in the camp but then went up on the high plains. It really takes me back.
There was movement at the station, for the word had passed around that the colt from Old Regret had got away and joined the wild bush horses. He was worth £1,000, so all the cracks had gathered for the fray. And one was there, a stripling, the sort that won't say die, who bore the badge of gameness in his eye. The man from Snowy River let the pony have its head, and he raced him down the mountain like a torrent down its bed, through the stringy barks and saplings like a bloodhound in their track, and alone and unassisted brought them back. And down by Kosciuszko, where the air is clear and the sky is wide, the man from Snowy River is a household word today, and stockmen tell the story of his ride.
Back in the 1970s, I'd been a film editor for quite a few years, and I just started doing some directing, and I got to make a film about this very dam, the Dartmouth Dam. We filmed over several years, 2 or 3 years, while they built the dam. All of us young cameraman, sound recorders, myself and others, we had a lot of fun. Carl had said to me, "Do you think they'll still have the film?" And I said, "That's very unlikely. Who knows what's ever happened to it." A few minutes ago, down at the display centre, where they have information about the dam and the building, And over in the corner we suddenly saw a video screen, and would you believe, looking at it for a few seconds, I suddenly recognised it was my film showing.
Dartmouth Dam is situated in the northeastern part of Victoria, on the Mitta River above its junction with the Murray River near Talankata. The overburden was excavated to provide a suitable rock foundation for the embankment.
I think most people that have been engaged on this work here have found it satisfying.
All things I working all the time on a dams, because I like it dams.
I'll always go back to these jobs later on, say the dam's full and things like that. You know, sort of look at it and say, well, I'll give it a bit of a go, you know.
I remember a lot of things about the filming. The huge machinery in the mountains, the incredible scenery, the valley. But funnily enough, the one memory for some reason I've always had more is the postmistress in Mitta, the little town just down from here, Sarah Cahoon. In some ways she almost ran the village because she was postmistress and did the telephones and had all the information and weather coming in and out.
Sarah Cahoon has lived at Mitta for most of her life and has been postmistress there for nearly 50 years.
The Governor-General. In the years ahead, enthusiastic interest in this great project. In this river valley...
Dad brought me up there many years ago fishing. God, I must have been sort of 10 or 12, I can't remember. And I don't think I've been back since that time. So to see the dam and find out a little bit more about it, especially with David's history with the building of the dam and filming that, was quite interesting to see. It's an interesting experience to have the camper van driving your house around all the time. In the morning you could just get out and have a look at the view and then drive off to the next place. We drove out of the mountains from Dartmouth and Mitta into the wonderful green rolling hills and plains of northeast Victoria.
Finally, we got to the Murray River, which is amongst the world's longest and one of the cleanest rivers.
Fed by the snow from the snowy mountains. The green that we have at this time of year, and the water, to see it at this level, it really is quite spectacular. A favourite place to visit, and certainly a fitting place to end our road trip.
Lead me astray, oh take me away to places so strange and lovely, beyond the clouds and into the blue so lovely. Embrace this weary soul, roam free and with the breeze.
Don't smile. Serious look, very worried, very frowning. Carl.
Just let me frown. Let me frown.
God. Now you're really the man from Snowy River.